This guy just cleared PMP, just cleared PMP, and he just cleared it with all above target. He's batch 9 student, so you are batch 11. This is day 1. I cannot get more classify that into this. Okay, Akhil, how was your journey? Can you share with us, please?
I I don't know what to express. I mean, it was a roller coaster, to be honest. Like the RCA, I cannot stress enough on the RCAs. Like the RCA is the best way to justify each and every question. Without the RCA, it won't be possible. On the last 2 weeks, I was just focusing more and more on the RCA and trying to justify each and every answer what I was given, and also on the wrong options. I spent more time on the wrong options because there might be something that would be beneficial on the wrong options, would that would help the right options to justify my right options too. So I was thinking in that manner, and it took a longer time. I was spending more than 8 hours, early in the mornings, late in the nights, and trying to catch up on all the RCAs. So yeah, it was a roller coaster. But in the exam, it was the exam was the first session. As you mentioned, like the first session, I was thinking like it would be hard, but it was not that hard. But the second and the third session was, or the second and the third sections were more trickier, because the questions were like almost 50% of the questions were like 3-liners.
Second and third, both of them.
Yeah, on the first half, like it was spread out. When I started off from question 61, there were a few questions at the beginning which were like more than 3-liners. And then towards the end of the second session, the second portion, there were questions that had questions that were having more than 3-liners.
More than 3-liners.
And on the third section too, like it was scattered all across for the remaining 60 questions, from question 121 to 180. And I had 6 drag and drop questions, and then no calculation questions.
Okay, what else?
So, and then hybrid questions, more of hybrid questions. The last
Like
section was
agile,
agile.
how much percentage was agile stakeholder communication?
I would say stakeholder and communication, and as well as agile covered the most. Agile covered the most. There were a few questions where the product owner completely changed into project manager, and that was the trickiest question. So the company
We just
was
completed stakeholder communication topic just right now. When you come, I was sharing the booklet. Okay.
yeah.
So tell them how interesting questions are from the stakeholder communication.
It is tricky. It is tricky. It is tricky. Like yeah. Without doing the RCA, it's not possible to answer those questions because it is tricky. The random mocks really helped a lot. The random mocks was the best to have all the trickiest questions, I would say. And once those ones are complete, and the remaining mocks would give us more clarity. It gave me more clarity on the answer and the options.
So random
So
mocks
yeah, it
were
was.
important. Random mocks were
Yeah,
important.
random mocks are important. There were questions that were similar to what we answered in the random mocks, which came in the exam. And then there were completely new questions. There were a few questions that were aligning more towards the compliance and the regulatory part. Like what would the project manager first do in this situation, and questions of that manner. So yeah, it was tricky. Like when I started off the second session, like the second part, towards the middle, I was like, man, this is getting tough. And the time management was really good on the first session and on the second session. On the third session, my time management was I was losing time a little bit. And on the remaining 14 questions towards the very end, I only had 8 minutes remaining to answer 14 questions. And the video that I was looking to yesterday that you said that you mentioned, I looked through the video. I went through the last the question, like if it was more than 3 liners. So I looked at the question and then I chose the option and I flagged everything. And then towards the end, I had 2 minutes remaining. I completed all the questions, came back and reviewed all those flag questions again. I just read the questions fast enough, and then I reviewed the options. There were 3 questions. I changed the option. So that's how I did. But I had 2 minutes remaining.
Okay. Your wife is driving?
No, I was driving. I am driving.
Okay. Okay. Akhil,
Yeah.
you cleared in less than 2 months, and
Yes.
you had been throughout the journey an awesome student. What will be
Yes.
your advice to these people? What they should do?
Commitment, consistency, and book your exam. That's it.
Book your exam. Okay.
Commitment, consistency, book your exam, and last but not the least, RCA for each and every questions, detailed RCA, justify all the options, justify each and every option. Even if you have chose the right option, justify it as much as you can so that you'll be able to identify why I chose that option and if why I chose the option to be the best. When you book the exam, you can plan out your daily structuring. I have a family. I have a 18-month-year-old kid. I'm working like 18 to 20 hours a day. I work on a wind project, and my days are early. Like I leave home at 4, and I come back home around like 8:30, 9 o'clock, because our project is in the completion phase. So it's been really hard and it's been really tough. I moved with family all across Canada to do the project, so it was really hard on the family as well. But yeah, like every time I sit on a mock, I usually get frustrated. But once I started, it's hard. Amir, as you mentioned, it is hard. But once that change is accommodated, it is the best thing you can do. Like for each and everything, I try to question myself on, hey, why did I get to that answer? How I approach that answer.
Okay.
Just the last thing is I justify Amir. Okay, if I'm explaining this to Amir, what questions would he ask? So I was I was explaining and justifying to your questions rather than my questions. So it was the best. So
That's good. Sidra is asking, how many hours did you dedicate to PMP every day?
I remember the very first call that I had with Amir. He asked me like, how many hours can you dedicate? I said like, okay, 1 or 2 hours max. Okay. Then Amir sent me all the video links, and once I started to do the test, and I was failing so bad. My scores were like 40 or 45%. And then once Amir started me to ask, once Amir started asking me, have you done the RCA? Like, what do you mean by RCA? And then once I started doing RCA, the 1 hour and the 2 hour extended to 8 hours. That's when I realized, okay, this is not easy as it looks. So I need to plan myself to give more time to pass the exam. So from 2 hours, I break down the time during the day and in the night, probably early in the morning. I split the time. I increase the time to 8 hours. I mean, to be honest. So yeah. So on the last 2 weeks, I was spending more than 10 hours, to be honest. But I would split the time because during work hours also, I was trying to manage between, type of questions. I would keep my sheet open. And if I get time in between, even if I get like 15 minutes in between, I will try to do 1 or 2 questions, RC of 1 or 2 questions. That sheet was open all the time. So
Okay, okay, perfectly
It
fine.
was hard, but the journey was hard, but the end result was the best.
Okay. Did almost all question were based on scenario or there were ITTO? There is no ITTO question. No ITTO questions now?
No, no, no. All like most of the questions, I would say 75 to 80% was scenario based. I remember Amir when he said to me like PMI will trick you. PMI will test you. The
Yeah,
test was real.
the PMI will test you. Thank you very much, Akhil. Anything else
Thank you
you
so much.
want to share with these people? They are tired. It's a 6 hours they have been sitting. You can see their faces. But with your energy, all of them are getting energetic. Guys, if you have any question, this is your time. Don't hold your question. This guy cleared the exam and he is the best source of information. But the exam come. How many times did you read?
Every day before every mock, after the mock, while doing RCA, if I have any questions, I go back and check look back at your PMP booklet and look at the flashcards, try to identify all those keywords and whatnot. I don't know, Amir, like at least 1 or 2 times a day.
Hmm, hmm. How did you manage tricky question? Umair is asking.
Uh, um, I would like it's hard to say, but identifying the keywords and considering yourself in that scenario, like you're seeking professional growth and you're considering yourself as a project manager, thinking in that logic, putting myself in that situation, how would I respond to that particular scenario, and what option closely matches to that scenario at the best, which is productive, which is the best solution, and aligning more towards PMI aspects.
Okay, perfectly fine. Okay. Akhil, first thing, send me that picture which I asked you.
Yeah,
I will go to the
yeah, for sure.
thumbnail. Secondly, please make 10 questions for PMP. Mohit, your
Yeah,
coach, probably will be sleeping right now in India, but he will be very
yeah.
glad that you clear it. And I'm very happy for you. Thank you very much, Akhil. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amir. Appreciate it. Thank you.